I have just finished here in Nigeria, in Abuja, a 3-day consultation with the Nigerian Evangelical Fellowship about how the evangelical churches in Nigeria can come together around the plan to advocate for peace and security, for the end of the violence that is taking place in Nigeria, and for the rule of law in Nigeria. It was a really good consultation during a 3-day period here in Abuja in Nigeria. And I'm very happy to have with me here on this video James Akinyele. James is the Secretary General of the Nigerian Evangelical Fellowship. James, I was very grateful that I've been here. We were able to visit as World Evangelical Alliance and to be with our member, the Nigerian Evangelical Fellowship, with you here to see how we can serve you, how we can be of service and support for the churches here in Nigeria. I would like to ask you, James, a question. What do you believe global evangelicals' voice should be in support of the churches here in Nigeria?
Thank you, Wissam. Thank you for making our time to spend these few days with us. Your comment has been very tremendous in terms of its impact. Thank you for listening to us and for your guidance as we speak. Now, to your question, our expectation would be that the evangelical body should sustain, perhaps increase its dialogue, if that were possible, with the government to ensure that the rate of kidnapping, terrorist attack, killings are reduced, or if they cannot be completely stopped. And the way we think is some measure of pressure should be mounted, if it were possible, on the government to hold the perpetrators of this crime to account, should be held accountable regardless of who was killed, which communities are attacked along ethnic or religious divide. That we would expect. We will look forward to government becoming more, open, fair, and just in pursuing a fair judicial process to all the persons involved in this crime. For communities that had been displaced, we will like to see the evangelical community work with our government to ensure they are resettled from their displaced places with some guarantee of safety. We would like to see how these communities are stable enough to go back to earn legitimate income so that we can put an end to the emerging food insecurity in this country. That will be important to us. Now, as a nation, we are in a transition period where God powers transition will take place at the federal and state and some local level. We will hope that government will ensure the removal of the barriers that prevents Nigerians of eligible age who can vote or who should vote to have access to the instrument that enables them to vote. We call it voter's card, the personal voter's card. Sometimes there are barriers, logistics, delays, technicalities. If people don't have access to their voter's card, they can't cast their vote. And when they can't cast their vote, they get embittered. So we hope that the government will deal with those barriers and be able to ensure within hours people can walk up to our election umpires, we call it INEC, and pick their cards. During election, we've had histories of violence. Our intention, our desire is that government will be able to work with other stakeholders to get all our political candidates who are contesting for offices, to declare publicly their commitment to a non-violent and violence-free election, regardless of their religious or ethnic or state or geographical spread. People should be able to go out, cast their vote without being harassed, without being molested, regardless of their political persuasion. And the results should count. people should see that the outcome of we have an electoral act which has just been passed to law by the current administration, which is very good. Our desire is to work with government to see that the provisions of that act are respected, and no political party is treated with preference. And people who perpetuate violence either before or during or even after election are made to pay, to face the necessary provisions of the law. So when people get punished for breaking the rank or for bringing crisis, others would be discouraged. I think some of those are, as are today, very critical. We like to see increased level of dialogue across ethnic and religious divide in this country.
Okay.
The narratives aren't very pleasant, and everybody seems to be hurting, some more than the other. And sometimes we have people within the country who are responsible from the news of the stories we've had, but sometimes the people who do it are even from outside. But if there is no conversation between the Muslims, the Christians, and perhaps other religious persuasions, we won't be able to solve that problem. So I like to see government helping to increase that. And finally, we have a country with very rich in ethnic and religious diversity. And we do have something in this country that is called the federal character, where every ethnic group, religious group is represented in political appointments, in military postings, in distribution of wealth. We like to see government showing goodwill, strong will to respect that, where people don't get to feel they are second-class citizens because they are not very large or because of the dominant religion where they are. So, but that should not be at the expense of credibility and competence. Every ethnic group in Nigeria has got competent people, trained people, experts, and we should be able to look at the antecedents in appointing them. So everybody feels I belong to this country, and where I come from isn't important. Thank you, Wissam.
Thank you, James. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your wisdom. It was a pleasure to be here. It was a pleasure to be here for 3 days, to be working and listening to you and to the pastors and the evangelical leaders here about how we can serve you, how the World Evangelical Alliance can support the Nigerian Evangelical Fellowship in its advocacy and its voice, and how we can amplify your voice international forums.
Let me interrupt you. I need to add that government should ensure an atmosphere where people can have absolute access to freedom when it comes to expression of their religious persuasion. If I am a Muslim, I should be able to worship without being harassed and without my right infringing on other persons. If I am a Christian, government should work with all the security agencies and stakeholders to be able to allow a Christian to worship without being a nuisance to others.
Okay.
But I think that for us is very critical to douse the tension in the country.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for the sharing. Thank you for sharing this message.
Thank you.
And I really look forward in the coming months and years to work with you, especially as Nigeria goes through the Universal Periodic Review in Geneva, the review of human rights of Nigeria in Geneva. I look forward to working to see how we can bring the voices of the evangelical churches into the processes of human rights review in Geneva of Nigeria. I'm grateful to be here, and I look forward to what's coming next. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Wilson. We appreciate your coming. God bless you.